Hello and welcome to a very special game club. I am your host, John Lucero. I'm joined by Brittany Beshel.
What's up?
And we are here to talk about Life is Strange, Before the Storm, Episode 1, Awake.
I didn't even remember the title of the episode already.
Yeah, it's a very long title. Jason's going to love typing that out. And it is the prequel series. This is the first episode in the prequel series to the titular Life is Strange. A series very important to the history of the game club on this site. It's the first time I ever did a podcast was because of that game.
Yeah, same.
And the reason I am on this site all the time now is because of that game. So
you can either thank or blame Don't Nod for that one.
Yeah, so depending on your opinion of me. So yeah, and so I was very skeptical of a prequel series for that game because I really like Life is Strange. It's questionable dialogue and all sometimes, and I know it holds a very special place in Brittany's heart. I don't know if she wants to get into every reason that is. But
no, because this podcast will be hours long and nobody wants to hear that.
Yes, but would you say it's your favorite game of all time, or would you?
Here's the thing. For the longest time after playing Life is Strange, I kind of struggled with that because I'm very bad at numbering things like, oh yeah, this game's like my fourth favorite or fifth, like putting it in like a top 10 or something. But I kept saying that it was kind of tied for my favorite game of all time with the Mass Effect series. But after Andromeda came out, I feel like it's kind of tarnished the name of the brand. So now I feel like maybe it slipped a little bit under Life is Strange. So yeah, as of right now, it's my favorite game of all time. Okay, if that makes sense. Game series, because so far I'm liking where this is going.
Yeah, and we're obviously going to get into that, but I am pleasantly surprised by this episode. So yeah, let's just get into it. And okay, so this game opens as a bit of a cold open. It opens with Chloe on some train tracks, smoking a cigarette. It was a cigarette, it wasn't a joint, right? It was just a cigarette.
Yeah, I think it was just a cigarette.
Yeah. Doing hood rat shit, and she narrowly jumps out of the way of the train, all dramatically and whatnot.
Being a try hard as usual.
Yeah, and that's kind of a theme for this early section of the game, which is the section they showed off at E3, and is, I think, the weakest part of this whole episode is the very opening, which is unfortunate because it's like your first taste of this prequel series, and like one of the things that makes it a little poor is the immediately you notice that Chloe's voice actress is different for the series.
Yeah.
It is no longer Ashley Birch, a very accomplished voice actress. I actually don't remember the name of the new one. I looked it up. I forgot to write it down, though. I'm an idiot. But yeah, she's okay. She seems okay. I feel like she gets more comfortable with the role as the episode goes on. I felt early on it just didn't click for me more than I had more. It bugged me more than I thought it would. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, okay. If anybody happens to follow me on Twitter or just know me in general, you know that as soon as I found out that Ashley Birch wasn't doing the voice for Chloe, I kind of turned my back on it and was like, nah, skip it. I feel like the voice for Chloe is such an important part of her character. So when I found out that somebody else was taking it over, I wasn't all too excited about it. But then, of course, it came out. I kept hearing good things about it. Friends wanted me to play, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll try to put it aside. But just like you're saying, in the beginning of the episode, I feel like her performance was pretty weak, which was just kind of like proving my point and just fueling my animosity toward this new girl. So sorry about it. But I definitely agree that throughout the episode, she definitely improved, and it kind of got to the point where, you just forgot that it was a new voice, and she still seemed very Chloe.
Yeah, like the writing is still there. So at least and I think in a lot of ways, Chloe's writing is stronger in this one. It's good because she even plays an even bigger role in the series. She is taking over the main as the player character in place of Max, who is not in this game necessarily. She actually is like in it. She's weirdly in this game a lot for not actually showing up in the game. She's kind of a specter over this whole situation, and we'll get into that as we go along. But yes, so it's good that the writing is better for Chloe. She's a little more relatable. She can be very hard to appreciate as a character in the first one because she's just the headstrong, rebellious teen.
Yeah, in this one, I was gonna say I also feel like the dialogue in general in this game is definitely improved, and I don't know, is Deck 9 American?
I don't remember. But I mean, I do know like all Deck 9 done is the new developer of this. They're not Don't Nod. This is and Deck 9 has only their most well-known thing they've done, I think, is they did the Ratchet and Clank collection on PS3.
Okay.
And another collection, but yeah, they seem to have only done remasters so far. This kind of looks to be their at least. And I looked at their catalog. That's the only thing I recognize game-wise. This seems to be their first big solo project.
Right. So, would this be considered like a AAA title or?
No, I don't. I would not. The maybe if Life is Strange 2 blows up, maybe then. But I don't think I would quite consider this a AAA thing. This is it is a well-liked series, but it doesn't have the same budget like of a AAA game, like a Call of Duty or a Destiny,
right,
or Horizon.
Well, I guess back to my point, what I was saying is I feel like Deck 9 has maybe a much better grasp of how teenagers actually interact and talk to each other, because it feels a lot more real than, certain things that people are saying like "wowzer" or
yeah, like I agree. I think the dialogue between teenagers in this is much better and less Diablo Cody-esque.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
I think where it's still weak is the conversation between adults and the children. I still think it comes off a little less natural and more like adults are bad, kids are good.
Yeah, they all come off as very condescending.
Yes. But okay, so it opens up. Also, this a little fun thing. The very first line of dialogue is she talks about she's going to a concert out in the middle of the woods in this shady ass barn she wants to see this band called Firewalk, which is a Twin Peaks reference actually, which is funny because that's very very early on in the first game. She has a Twin Peaks license plate, but Firewalk with Me is the Twin Peaks movie that came out after the first 2 seasons. And as a huge Twin Peaks fan now after watching it, I really appreciated that dumb little nod. But yeah, so Chloe is out in the middle of the night. She's 16 and she's trying to sneak in. She's trying to get into this concert in this weird barn that also has a bouncer for some fucking reason. even though there's like 15 people inside. like it's like some big deal, like this fucking barn concert.
Let's be real. I believe that the reason why there's only about 15-20 people inside is just time restraints. Time constraints. Like they can't animate thousands of people inside this underground concert. But
yeah,
I know what you're saying.
I understand. It's just it makes it seem a little odd.
They're not going to lose their liquor license. If someone's underage drinking, like. Yeah, the business isn't going to get shut down.
Yeah, so Chloe tries to talk her way past this bouncer. She gives him her fake ID, and he knows it's fake ID. And so after that, you can talk to him again. Actually, before that, in place of the pictures that Max would take in Life is Strange, to go along with Chloe's character, you can now tag things with graffiti every now and then. So, yeah, she made a meth lab joke in mind. I don't know if you went with that one, but
yeah, that's the one I picked.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just a little basically this game's version of collectibles is finding all the places to tag. Anyway, back to the important part. She goes up to talk to this bouncer, and this guy seems to be a large Samoan man. I believe he even mentions he's Samoan. And there is a new mechanic for this game because Chloe doesn't have time powers. She has no. She up to now, there's no hint of her ever having any sort of powers. So I think this game is going to keep it that way. I hope that would be a little
I mean, I'm actually kind of okay with that because talking about Life is Strange too real quick. They already said that it's not going to be the same characters or anything, so it'd be kind of strange if they added in the rewind mechanic again for that. So this alone has kind of made me a little bit more hopeful that the second game could be good without having the same powers. Like they're not going to be relying on rewinding time too much.
Yeah, I do hope that they have some sort of supernatural element to it. I think that's a key part of the series. I'm curious to what they're going to do. But in this one, Chloe doesn't have any. So in place of that, they have a new, I forget what it's called.
Backtalk challenge.
Yes, right here. Right there it is, written down right here. The Backtalk challenge, where you have to insult someone enough to where they let you do what you want.
Which makes no sense at all.
It's such a... Okay, so this large bouncer man is like... He allows this 16-year-old girl past him if she insults him enough. Like he's like, you're all right, kid. Go in there and have alcohol and do the drugs, and have fun at this part. Because like
you insulted my cultural design on my motorcycle. You're all right. Go right
she
in.
made like a really insensitive joke about it because he had flowers on his motorcycle because he's
it's some kind of Polynesian design or something like that.
Yes, and so she basically just insults his manhood because he has floral designs on his motorcycle, and he's like, "You're all right, kid," and lets her in. And personally, I don't think it would work on me. I have never been in a back talk off though, I guess. So I don't.
As someone who's been doing security for almost 10 years now, I can assure you that somebody acting like that would not gain entry into any building that I'm in front of. And I'm not some large Samoan dude either. So I don't know. The funny thing about this whole backtalk thing is right from the start, I thought it was hysterical because, again, if you know me at all, I kind of tend to run my mouth a little bit. So in an ideal world, I would be able to get away with backtalking people and getting what I want. Unfortunately, it's very unrealistic and it doesn't work. And I just end up getting myself in trouble. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, for Chloe, it works. And she gets into this Shady Barn concert. And inside there's a bar area. There's some people that are drunk all over the place. And you have some choices, a few minor choices you can make while you're in here before you get to the meat of this section. And one of them involves a guy sitting on the trunk of his car with it open and a bunch of band merchandise in it. Chloe wants a Firewalk shirt. And I immediately tried to just grab one. And he was like, no. So, and that leads to an option to where if you go to the front of the car, this car is precariously parked on the edge of a loading ramp, and it's got the parking brake pulled up, and you have the option to pull the parking brake or not. I pulled the parking brake. So, did you do the same, Brittany?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think I can kind of just say ahead of time now that anything bad that you could do, I pretty much did. So
I generally did. There was a few instances where I didn't, but yeah, coming up right after this actually when I didn't. But yeah, you pull that brake, it moves the car, it hits someone else's car, and while he's talking to that person, I go in there and snag a shirt. And there's also, it gives you an opportunity to because you see a box of money and there's $200 in there, and it gives you an opportunity to take that $200. I did not take the money.
Yeah, I did. I took the money.
Which is good because after this moment I ran into I think right after this I ran into Frank Bowers, who is a relatively major character from the first game, and this is So this game takes place, what, 3 years before Life is Strange? 2 years?
I think it's 3 because I'm pretty sure Chloe was 19 in the first game, and
Right,
she's 16 here.
she's out of Blackwell at that point in time. So, yeah. So this is early Frank Bowers. This is before. This looks like I don't remember if I saw Pompidou ever in this game. But my boy Pompidou. But yeah, you talk to Frank, and it references how he's been Chloe's dealer for a while, and she owes him money, and she tries to get some weed from him, and he's like, "You already owe me $75." And I did not. I was like, whatever at that point, because I did not steal $200 3 seconds ago. So I didn't. So I'm curious, Brittany. Did you take the weed?
I sure did. I mean, listen, if I was this type of person, I definitely would, especially if you're at some shitty barn concert. You probably have to be high and or drunk to deal with that.
I mean, I asked, so I did drink. There was just a apparently free thing of cold beers just sitting around.
Also so unrealistic, but go on.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't really free, is it?
Just another one of the several things that she's stolen since walking in the door 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, and after talking to Frank, and actually, if you get high, is there a scene of her lighting it up, or
no? And that's the weird thing, is she just kind of has it and doesn't actually use it during.
I mean, I'm sure she uses it eventually. I thought that weird.
Well, yeah, no, I mean at the show.
Yeah.
At the show, she doesn't.
Well, it does cut away. We'll get to that too. But so you try to, and then you move over to there's like a little hallway leading into the actual concert area. And it's a bunch of people that are just dancing in the hallway there. Like, this place is that packed. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So you try to get in there. You can't get past this wall of dancing people. And you bounce back, and you bounce into this this guy. I don't remember what his name is, but he just he's just a shitty looking dude. You're like, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. And he comes across as immediate like that. Chloe insults him, of course, and moves past him. And to get into the concert, she decides to go up the stairs and watch it from the loft. And that's when you actually get to see the band play the Firewalk, and they suck. The sound mixing, I don't know if it's purposely as bad as it is. I don't know if you're supposed to think they suck, but the sound mixing is very bad, at least in my experience.
This is a barn show, John. What do you want?
I want some standards, Brittany. It's just
I don't know about the acoustics of a barn since I haven't been to one ever, let alone for a concert. But I'm pretty sure if there was one, it wouldn't sound very good.
And it did not. It sounded awful. So I think it was on purpose. I don't know if they intended it on purpose. They made it just sound terrible. I thought it was terrible. And I don't know what your opinion on Firewalk's performance were. But,
they were a band.
Yeah, Chloe was very into them. She was super into it. And after their song, or whatever you want to call it, the shady dude and his buddy come upstairs, and they are still trying to get. Were they trying to get Chloe to? What were they trying to get her to do?
I think they were just, I don't know, because they were just like trying to force a genuine apology out of her, which, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't even her fault that the guy's beer was knocked into him. She was shoved by somebody else. So
yes,
I don't know what they wanted. I really don't. That's the thing that was kind of confusing about it, is like, you're at a concert, it's crowded, allegedly. Things happen, beers get knocked into people, get the fuck over it or go home. So I'm not really sure the motivation for them going after her makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a sex thing, which is really uncomfortable because she's 16 at this point in time. So, yeah, that was weird. And they are backing her into a corner, but she is and then someone gets their attention, and that someone is Rachel Amber, and Rachel Amber is basically the whole basis for why this prequel series exists, I think, at least in my opinion. The only reason you would create a prequel series for Life is Strange is to flesh out Rachel Amber, who is a character in the first game who never shows up. She's kind of like the main crux of Chloe and Max's journey and investigation in the first one.
I think Rachel is to Life is Strange as Max is to Before the Storm.
Yes,
where they are a major part of the story without actually being there.
Yeah, and you get a good sense of Rachel as a character from Life is Strange without her ever saying a word, just from Chloe's descriptions and everyone else's descriptions of her, and just other stories. And in the first, she's actually a very similar character to Laura Palmer in Twin Creeks. It was like the crux of Twin Peaks. Sorry, Twin Creeks. That's
I was gonna ask, is that a different show I don't know about?
That is a movie theater chain that's near me.
Oh.
They have lazy boys for chairs. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. But yes, she is the murder victim that brings the FBI agent to investigate the town of Twin Peaks, and as the show goes on, you find out more about her and what her relationship with everyone in the town was, and it's very similar to Rachel Amber. So that's all you have of her from there. And and then all of a sudden she's in the game now. She's right there in front of you, and I recognized her immediately. Even if I hadn't known she was going to be in the game already, I mean, I recognized her immediately, and she gets their attention, and you have a choice for Chloe, which is to either just run away or to hit them, and I hit them with the beer bottle that I had earlier.
Yeah.
Which it hit the main skeezy dude, but his buddy then just punched Chloe in the face immediately.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal, but
yeah, I was like, what the fuck? she's a girl. She's a 16-year-old girl, and just punched her in the face. But yeah, so that caused Chloe to have a black eye, and so she has for the rest of the game. So yeah, you run away with Rachel. And as you go downstairs, Frank sees you guys running away, and he seems to see Rachel, as from what I remember. So, and which is hints. I don't know what the relationship at this point is, but in Life is Strange, they seem to have a pretty big history by the time that it gets 3 years into the future. So I think I assume there's something going on at that point in time too, based on his reaction. But he stops those guys, and then instead of leaving, you and Rachel just get into the concert and start dancing, and just dancing the night away. And then it cuts away, and that's kind of the end of the first section. So it was a very weird section of the game. It's weird. It was a weird opening to it too. It just kind of felt all over the place. The dialogue at that point in time was not super impressive. Seemed Chloe's writing seemed a little all over the place in terms of her character.
Yeah, so, and with that, I kind of feel like even though the dialogue between characters is much improved, I feel like the dialogue where you go and just kind of look at objects and walk around and look at things, the stuff that she says in her head is like Max level stupid.
Yeah, it was very Max-like. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but she says everything out loud. As far as I think.
Wait, so it's not her just thinking it? She's saying it out loud?
There were times, at least, that I saw her mouth moving when she was saying stuff, and I was like, you're just saying this out loud? No one just does that. No one walks around and has musings about things out loud.
I didn't notice that. Are you sure? Maybe it was some kind of glitch or something, but I swear it happened
weird. Multiple times that she was just thinking out loud. And which is really, really funny and really weird. But yeah, so I was at this point in time, I was not sure how I felt about this. So not the best opening to it, but showing Rachel Amber that early on, it intrigued me enough to where I wanted to see where it went. All right, and then it leads to the morning after and the title card. which in true Life is Strange fashion, it goes along to a indie song. And I actually do you know the name of the song that played in the beginning?
I don't know any of the songs that were in this first episode, strangely enough.
I was in the same spot, but I expected that. So
yeah, because I actually at least I think one of the songs in each episode of Life is Strange, the original game, I did know, and then anything I didn't know, I ended up liking anyway. But I'm not saying these songs were good just because I didn't know them. I still think the soundtrack for this game is fantastic. They know how to keep that very Life is Strange vibe to it.
Yeah, this episode's soundtrack I wasn't quite as into. There were a couple tracks. I think when we get to the train section, I think that song is very good. Mm-hmm. I was not as into this one. It was songs that's personal taste. That's like I'm not gonna knock a game for music choice like that. Because it's going for a specific vibe, and I think that music fits the vibe, like you said. And at this point, this is when you can open Chloe's journal. It's her journal, right? It's just her.
Yeah. No, actually, what I was reading is that they are letters to Max.
Yeah. Okay. I have that written down. I didn't know if that was in her journal though. That she was writing them.
Yeah, which was something I was confused about because I didn't understand why each page had Max's name on it. I was like, that's kind of obsessive, Chloe. But then I realized afterwards that these are kind of just like letters to Max that she's not like going to send to her. It's just something she's doing, I guess, to get her feelings out.
Yeah, I read all of them, and I think they're very well written, actually. And they're very interesting because they're basically Chloe venting is in her own way, because Chloe's dad dies when she's a few years younger than this, and then Max around at similar time Max moves to Seattle, and that it was her best friend and really her only friend, from what Chloe says, and Max in ways that I've been there too and understand. Like I've moved halfway across the country and lost contact with people You feel shitty for that sometimes, and it's and in these letters it's Chloe just wanting Max to talk to her, and she's not. So I think they're very well written, and there's even there's even stuff like even letters with Chloe slowly finding out her sexuality and her sexual preferences, like with a Blade Runner reference, like having a dream about Pris from Blade Runner. instead of Deckard. So, and I thought that stuff was interesting for this young character, just like all this coming of age stuff and her having to do all this without her best friend around and just wanting her best friend around. It's and yeah, that's it. And right there, this letter set up the major theme for Chloe throughout this episode and probably throughout this prequel series of just wanting Max there. And it also paints their first meetings in Life is Strange in a different light too, just to how much Chloe missed her and how shitty.
Yeah, and that attitude she was giving her in that first car ride and everything, like she was, in my mind, totally justified. Which is what I was going to ask you, because you said that you're familiar with moving and kind of losing contact with people and feeling shitty about it. Did that make you kind of sympathize with Max then?
I still see what Max did as being shitty, but she's also like, it is hard to talk to someone who lost a parent, and I don't know what it's like, what it's to lose a parent. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I do, but I know that talking to someone who's always in that state of mind can be hard, and it's selfish, but that's how people work. So I can sympathize with that in a way. I still think it's shitty, and she should have been a better friend. And she learns that a few years later. And
yeah, and it's funny because I was just gonna say real quick, one of the things that kind of seemed weird to me was, again, how Rachel was that character that was there but not really there in Life is Strange, and Max is that character that's there but not really there in this game. I feel like the stuff that you find out about these characters while they aren't present kind of makes you resent them.
Yes,
Because it's the same thing. Like Rachel Amber, the more that you find out about her in Life is Strange, the less you like her. And not to be that person, you kind of don't really feel bad that she died, or at least I didn't. But then like meeting her in this game, and then seeing who she is and everything, it kind of paints her in a different light. And it's the same way now, where it's kind of putting Max under a bad light in this game, but then you remember like, oh, I kind of did really like her in Life is Strange. So it's really, really weird. And I think it's kind of true, because in real life, if you don't know somebody and you only hear bad things from people, you could demonize them at that point. But then if you meet them, it's a totally different situation.
Yeah, because that person isn't there. Like Max is not around to defend herself or to portray herself in a way that's just not the shitty friend that lost contact. And from Life is Strange, Max, and deep down is a good person, and she loves Chloe, and so it is an interest. I'm glad that they touched on it. It adds more depth to Chloe's state of mind at that point in time. It paints Max in a light that was touched upon in the first one, but since you played as Max all the time, it didn't come across quite the same way. And so yeah, and we will talk, I think, a few more times about Max as we talk about this episode, but that's the first real taste. And I thought it was really good that they just put all those letters out there for you to read right off the bat. So afterwards, you kind of walk around the room, and muse about things in your room out loud. And you get to choose to put a t-shirt on, because Chloe has to go talk to her mom downstairs, and she smells like booze and cigarettes from the night before. And you put a t-shirt on. I chose the Firewalk t-shirt just because I stole that, and I'm going to wear that. And
I mean, yeah, it just seemed kind of obvious. Like, what's the point of going through the trouble of wrecking that dude's car, stealing the shirt, and then stealing the money if you're not going to wear the shirt afterwards? So, of course, I had to put it on.
Yeah. And afterwards, you leave the room, and you can walk around upstairs for a bit. And Chloe's mom asks you to bring her phone to her. And if you walk into her mom's bedroom, and you look around, and you can just get they create a good sense of what the home life has been like just from that room alone. Just Chloe's state of mind on like her mom and her new boyfriend David, right? I didn't make that up, right? Yes, David. Yeah. The character's been in the first one too. He's a very major character. That's why I didn't want to get the name wrong. But yeah, it's her new boyfriend, and Chloe is not into it, and this is. And he eventually becomes her stepdad from Life is Strange. Spoiler for Life is Strange. We're gonna talk about Life is Strange. Probably a lot of that game will come up in the context of this game too.
Well, wait. So here's a good question I have, because say somebody hasn't ever played Life is Strange before. Would you say that they should play Life is Strange first, or play Before the Storm first? Because now I'm kind of having this conflict where I'm going through this game and I'm liking all these new characters and everything. And liking Rachel Amber a lot, but then it's kind of hard to really get attached to this character, because you're like, oh yeah, she's not in the next game, and also she's dead. So it's
well, I think that's kind of the problem with prequels. It's kind of like the big question with prequels in general is, once they exist, do you just watch from that one? And it's kind of, I feel like you can go either way with it, honestly. I don't mind that I know what Rachel's fate is going to be, because that's not her fate most likely at the end of this game. I don't think they're unless they're doing time jumps in this series.
I hope they don't, because I'm pretty sure she died a year or so before the events of Life is Strange. So
I think there will be heavy hints of what happens to her. I don't see it having that kind of an ending. So it really, I don't, at that point, I think it's up to the person. If you just want the whole story straightforward from the beginning, to go with that. If you want to just go with Life is Strange and then build on the foundation that was that with this, it's fine. I think it's really I think it works either way. That's kind of like, that's why prequels are great and why prequels suck. at the same time is what and why they're hard to be good. And that's why I'm always skeptical of prequels, even though my favorite game of all time is a prequel, Metal Gear Solid 3. And
you always got to find a way to slip that in there.
Every time. And so yeah, I think it's really up to the person. For me personally, knowing everything's going to happen does not take away from the experience, because that's not the story this game is telling. It's telling its own story.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because, as you know, with how I feel about this game, one of the things that I like to do is introduce other people to the game. And I think I've done that with a really decent amount of people already.
Yeah, I'm one of them. So.
Yep. If there were other people that I wanted to get into the game, now I'm just kind of like, do I start them with the prequel first or with the original game? And I guess it just depends on the person. Yeah.
It's I honestly, anyone that's curious about it and hasn't, I'd go either way with it, really. It's totally up to you. All right. And as you're walking around Chloe's mom's room, you come across, you start finding out that she's been taking pictures down of Chloe's dad and them together, and kind of just like, and that's like her own way of moving on. And I think moving on is important. I feel when we'll get to, although there's some ways that are not as good to do it, and we'll get to that I think eventually. But Chloe is not. She's not ready to move on in that way. So she's not taking that super well. So you get her phone and you go downstairs. Unless is there anything important I missed before that? Because I think you just get her phone, go downstairs, and talk to her mom. Who's making breakfast in the kitchen.
You didn't know me when you were a kid, in trouble at school, alone at lunch again. I didn't know you when I broke my knee. Spent the summer on crutches and everybody teased, except for this one friend I almost forgot.
Her mom pretty much hints, especially because if you're wearing the Firewalk shirt, she mentions it, because she gives her a speech about coming home at letting her know where she's at all times, and coming home at reasonable times, and she's very understanding with it, because for compared to what she could have been about it, I guess, because Chloe stopped texting her like in the middle of the night, and then didn't come home until super late. So, and she basically hints that she knows that she was at that concert, if you're wearing the Firewalk shirt.
Yeah, to which Chloe stupidly says a thing like, "Oh, I'm still bummed that you didn't let me go." Like, girl, shut up. Like, she already knows.
Yeah.
No need to try to add some fake guilt onto it, too. That's where it gets kind of stupid. With, like you said earlier, the conversations between the adults and the children,
Yeah, and this is one of them, and it's written in a way that makes Chloe's mom seem really shitty in some ways. I mean, she wants Chloe to get along with David, but I think she's pushing it way too much at this point in time, because Chloe obviously doesn't like David, and she says that many times, and but her mom is very insistent that David's great and whatnot, and she has David take her to school in the morning, and which is, as you gotta let that stuff breathe naturally. You can't just force that stuff on someone, especially someone who lost a parent like that, and is basically, in her eyes, is someone that's replacing that person, or trying to replace that person, which is fair and not fair to look at it that way. So yeah, and their talk is it just seems painting they just haven't figured out a way to make adult dialogue natural yet, which is unfortunate, because the game I played earlier this year, Night in the Woods, I think was fantastic at painting every character interestingly and writing them well and very human-like, even though they're all animals. But it's so, and I wish it could reach those heights. It doesn't quite with adults yet. Maybe as it goes on, they'll get better. I have my doubts based on the first series too. But all right, and then Chloe moves, and Chloe goes to see David out at the car. It was a Mustang Charger. I forget what it is. But and he's fixing a spark plug or something, and he insinuates that Chloe will not know what he's doing, but Chloe obviously knows how to fix a car based on her reactions. So there's like some weird sexist thing going on with paint. I feel like David is painted even more of an asshole in this one than he is in the first one. I felt like they don't make him very endearing at all, for sure.
Let's be real for a second. To my memory, I don't know if we talked too in depth about David in the original podcast for the first game, but I feel like the only time David was really painted in a good light was when he came to the rescue for Max in the original game and kind of saved her, and then was, maybe upset about what happened to Chloe, if you do tell him honestly. And that's kind of it. Like, throughout the rest of the game, he kind of is a dick to all the students and everything. He's just that wannabe cop guy he was like discharged from the military, right?
Yes, I want to say.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is just kind of like, this seems very David, the way that he's acting.
And I think that's just part of the problem with the adult characters, because David, they spend most of the game treating David as like this hyper obsessive, like, conspiracy theorist basically, and he doesn't get much screen time whatsoever to build more of a character than that. And I feel like that's happening again in this one. And Chloe's mom also, they just don't get a lot of character moments to flesh out the character more than just like this base, like, David's just an asshole. So I think they can do better with that, and I hope that they do. And so anyway, you get some tool if you go explore the garage a little bit, because he asks you to get a socket wrench. If you explore the garage a little bit, you can see some more like pictures that are being packed away and stuff from like a
William.
William, Chloe's dad, and just like Chloe just trying to deal with her life changing in that way. Still, it's like she's not ready to move on yet, and everyone else is around her, so that can be hard. So yeah, so she gets a socket wrench. You can make a comment about the car, about how David has the smallest dick in Arcadia Bay, and if you look at the car, and you get in the car with David, and this is the second backtalk one, right? Was there one before this between
I am not entirely sure, because I do know that where you have to come to the decision. I'm not really sure. I think that there wasn't a backtalk section with Joyce, was there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So there might have been. I don't remember one, but Also, before you get in the car, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to awkwardly fist bump David, which I did because I thought it was really weird that you just awkwardly do an awkward fist bump.
I didn't. I had to walk away from that.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Because it felt really out of character for David. For the fist bump seemed weird. It was, I don't know, because Chloe like knew about cars, so he was impressed by a girl knowing cars. But so yeah, well, and anyway, they get in the car, and there's a opportunity. You can either backtalk David or just ignore him and ride in the car with him. I backtalked, obviously, because that's what Chloe would do. And if you insult David enough and you bring up the fact that he's unemployed, he won't talk to you anymore. Go figure. So, and then it's just an awkward ride to school, and he drops you off, and then you like you can give a half-ass thank you, and he's not into that because you just insulted him beforehand. So yeah, and that's kind of the last you see of David for this episode. And so yeah, these first two sections are just really showing just how they haven't figured out adults yet. So and also on the car ride, this is one of 2 or 3 instances of this happening. Is the first sort of it seems like a dream sequence of sorts, and it's Chloe in the back of the car with her dad driving, listening to his favorite country song, and her like singing along to it, even though she didn't really like it. But it's just she knows all the words because it was his favorite song. And as you talk to him, he mentions going to the grocery store, and then a semi hits the car and she wakes up. So obviously, Chloe's still messed up about the way her dad died. So yeah, so that just plays into the more supernatural, surreal elements of Life is Strange that like with Max's powers and whatnot. So, and of course the giant twister that was ominously in Max's visions and the dreams in the first one. This is less end of the world stuff and more just personal Chloe's personal journey. So it seems like they're obviously going with less of a like doomsday scenario for this one, which makes sense because it's called Before the Storm, obviously. So it's gonna just Chloe's personal dealings and how she becomes the headstrong character she will be in 3 years' time. So, all right, and now we're at Blackwell. It's good to be back in the front lawn of Blackwell. And it's actually interesting because you see a lot of characters in the first one, just like their slightly younger selves, and they do a good job of foreshadowing a lot of characters, what becomes of these characters. Without, I feel like they don't hit you over the head with it. Maybe you felt differently, but just like little things with like as you run into Victoria. I didn't talk to Victoria because I didn't know why Chloe would ever talk to Victoria Chase. So
well, come on, dude, you gotta talk to everybody just because they're there. That's part of the game.
Yeah, but even Chloe said, "Why would I talk to you?" In her head. In her head, she literally says, "Why would I talk to this person?" Yeah.
Be even better if she said it out loud as she's walking away.
Yeah.
Why would I talk to Victoria Chase? And she just looks up like, what the fuck?
I did see what she says afterwards, and like and even later on in the game, it like even later on in some text that you read from her, it starts showing her because you're running the Nathan Prescott also, and his in a weird spot where you get his what he becomes later on in the series being foreshadowed, and then Victoria's worry about Nathan also coming across because they become much closer friends over the next 3 years. So I thought that stuff was pretty interesting. Saying that, I walked over to the drama club is hosting a play in the lawn of something called Tempest, which what was the club's name in the first one?
The Vortex Club.
Vortex Club, yes. So this is Tempest, and it seems to be something they're building towards. I feel like this is going to be another last episode thing with this Tempest play. I feel like it's going to have some sort of weird thing happen in it. Just, with the whole storm.
Oh, kind of like the Vortex Club party you're saying?
Yeah, that's why I feel like that's going. It seems like a theme that they're going to keep going with in the series, at least with the Arcadia Bay stuff. And there's a sign that says don't walk on the stage. So naturally, I walk on the stage, and and Principal Wells comes up, and he still sucks like he did in the first one.
Also, okay, I think maybe I'm wrong here, but because I've played the first game so many freaking times with different people, I feel like the voice actor for Principal Wells was even different, and then also the voice actor for Victoria. Like, I feel like it wasn't just Chloe's voice actress that didn't return.
Yeah, I did not. Principal Wells' voice didn't strike me as too different. If it was, it's if they are. They're such minor roles so far that I think it's fine that they didn't bring everyone back for them. Because they already changed Chloe's, so yeah. So obviously,
that's like the really only noticeable difference. But just because I'm me, I know I didn't notice the difference.
Yeah,
it could be anybody. It could be a character that had one line in the game and be like, they're different now. Who is that?
Yeah, I just didn't notice that they were. So if they are, they seem fine. So yeah, we talked to Principal Wells, and he's like, stop being a piece of shit, Chloe. And you're like, you stop being a piece of shit, Principal Wells, or I'm gonna tell the newspaper about how many drug addicts go to this school. so yeah, there's a whole back talk section with him too. And you just backtalk the principal, and he's like, all right, you go about your day after you backtalk the principal.
Wait, okay, so I think maybe I messed up that backtalk in particular, because after I did that sequence, he told me that I definitely had to go to his office after school.
Oh, no, he's... I backtalked the shit out of him. I don't think I failed any backtalk segments. I think I got them all. But a master backtalker with Chloe's many quips. He's got quips for days. Yeah, then you come across a dude bullying Nathan Prescott, who's on like the football team, what I would gather based on his varsity jacket, and talking about Nathan dad getting him on the team and how he doesn't like Nathan, and which is fine. I don't blame him. What the fuck does Nathan say to him afterwards? He's like, he basically calls him poor and useless.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What the hell?
Like, because you can choose to step in and stop this dude. Because I don't think this dude's in the second one. I think he's like a senior in this game. And you step in and stop him, and then Nathan says something really shitty, and I just wanted to walk away, just let him let him get his ass kicked. But so yeah, and you can backtalk this guy and fucking destroy his manhood or whatever, and because Chloe's just an asshole. But and finally we'll get to the weirdest large section of this part of the game, and where you come across this girl who you wanted to Steph, I think was her name Steph, or anyway.
Wait, which one? The one that was sitting by the tree, or the one who's doing the tabletop game?
The tabletop game.
Yeah, that's Steph and Mikey, I think.
Yeah, you come across these characters, and Steph had been texting you saying she had her Blade Runner DVD for her. It's Blade Runner Director's Cut, which they mention. They do a weird pitch for Blade Runner, just like they did for The Spirits Within. I agree more with their Blade Runner opinions. But yeah, they do the weird like nerd know-it-all thing about it, and just like Anyway, I thought that was some forced dialogue. It's and they're playing a tabletop game with just the two of them. That was odd, but and Chloe has a chance to join, and I played the whole thing. So, and it was I thought it was surprisingly well done. Actually, it seemed the dialogue was all right, and just like it didn't feel as out of place as I thought it would. I thought I would when I started doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I did it just because, like I said, when I played this game, I talk to everybody, I do everything just so I don't miss anything. But this was one of those things where I was just like, wow, when is this going to end? Like, I needed it to be over so I could just move on, which I know obviously you could get up and walk away at any time. You have the option, but I still felt like I had to follow through with it anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was Chloe has like an elf barbarian character, and she's getting all into it and shit. And there's like a whole arc between her character and Mikey's character too. And if you're nice to him, I feel like that might come back later in the games, in one of the episodes, for helping that guy out basically, or being nice to him and not being a dick because they're playing a tabletop game in the middle of the front lawn of the school. Yeah, it was just a weird little side thing you could do that I didn't have too much of a problem with. It's also, this whole time people keep referencing your night with Rachel Amber, and which is, it just like the whole gossip vine just like spread really quick, and all you've seen with them is them dancing. That's the last thing you see of them doing that night.
Yeah, well, all this is just because Rachel posts a picture of her and Chloe, I guess, on whatever their version of Facebook is. So, of course, everybody in the whole freaking school sees it and makes a huge deal out of it.
Yeah.
Which, ridiculous. People don't act like that.
Yeah, it was like, not everyone's going to be talking about that. It's just like it was just two girls at a concert thing.
Like they didn't go together. They just both happened to be there and run into each other. But big deal. It's fine.
Yeah. Small towns. As someone from a small town, it's not as far fetched as it seems. But whatever. And as you go to the front door to go to school, Rachel pops out and pulls you into the school, which seems unnecessary because you're already walking into the school. But I digress. So, and she takes you to drama class, where you can see Hayden, who's a character in the first one. I don't know if it was a girl was that girl? Anyone?
I think that was either Taylor or Juliet. I can't remember. It may have been Juliet. But also, just to interject real quick, because while we were talking, I did look up on IMDb. There is not one returning voice actor in this game. Yeah, so a lot of people actually did very well, I guess, at
Yeah, they even got past you.
Yeah. There was a couple that I noticed, but then it just started seeming suspicious. But yeah, nobody, as far as I can tell, just going back and forth is the same.
Yeah. So and you get to drama class, and they're practice for the Tempest play or whatever. I don't know what they're doing, but it's just the shitty high school drama teacher and these two people performing lines, and Hayden sucks at it just. Which is fine because Hayden sucked in the first game too, just in general. From what I remember, he just kind of sucked. But he's the prep kid, I guess. So, and Rachel interjects, and because Juliet or whatever her name is asking for advice on a line and what emotion you should feel, because are they doing Romeo and Juliet? I don't think they are. They're just doing whatever, some sort of fake play, I think. No,
Tempest is actually Shakespeare.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of it, and I've heard a lot of Shakespeare. But,
well, okay, here's a really stupid reason why I do know this, is because The Tempest is the book that Lucas in Indigo Prophecy is reading that he leaves behind in the diner.
You know that because of Indigo Prophecy?
Yes.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. So,
I'm sure Jason will appreciate me bringing up David Cage.
We're big fans around these parts. Anyway, she's having trouble with this line. It's basically, about is based around the idea of falling in love with this character who just told her that he's been sleeping with multiple women. But I mean, at least he's honest, I guess. But And Rachel interjects and is like, I don't know. What do you think, Chloe? Which one is? And you can decide to see whether you believe in true love or not. And I think I'd pick the love is lame answer. Seemed like a Chloe response, I guess. Or she seemed like a weird defensive Chloe response, even though I don't think she actually believes that. It seemed like something you would say because she's Chloe and she's a rebel.
Yeah, I think you're right that it's something that she would say, but not necessarily honestly be thinking.
Yeah. Like I don't. As I said that, I'm like she would totally say this, but she wouldn't mean it. But yeah, and like this after I don't know if there's one. Did you pick the other response or?
Yeah, I did.
Was there like a weird awkward silence for a second where people just looked at you after you said it?
No, they didn't, because honestly, from what I've seen, both responses you pick, the director kind of agrees with you weirdly.
Yeah, and Rachel was
like you basically just say something about how love is what's going to sell tickets.
Oh, okay. And yeah, and Rachel's like, right on. And basically. Yeah, then everyone else leaves and Rachel's like, I'm gonna go change and get my belt from my bag. So you can go over to her bag, and if you look behind the flat, like the back, in the back of the room, there's like some graffiti on the back of it. You can write some words insulting Victoria Chase on there if you want to. Because it's Victoria insulting Rachel Amber, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean,
Yeah.
RA and VC. So
yeah, I couldn't remember what the other initials were, but anyway, you go in her bag and you find a picture before you go in because you're just rifling through her stuff at that point, I guess. And
yeah, she's being very Max.
Yeah, and she pulls a picture out of Rachel, the little girl with her dad looks like camping or hiking, and then you keep rifling through and you can find her belt, and you go to the back, and yeah. There's also some more graffiti you can do with like a picture of Rachel. You can put like a halo on her or some horns on Victoria Chase, I think.
Or I think it's actually Nathan since he's playing.
Oh, right. Nathan. Yes. Yeah. Right. And then you can you get like, I got your belt. She's like, cool. And you can choose to either just toss it over or walk around and give it to her. I walked around and gave it to her. And because I mean they're girls, it's like I thought it was fine. But I
also, do you want to just like haphazardly throw something over?
Yeah, I was also like I don't want to just chuck this over like throw a belt over there. She's getting dressed. But yeah, and you can either choose to silently stare at her or say, "Hey, I got your belt." I said, "Hey, I got your belt," because I'm not gonna sit there and silently stare at this girl getting dressed, even if it's been hinting at Chloe's bisexuality. I don't know if she's full on bisexual at this point. I think she is. I don't know. It doesn't really bring to the forefront. It's just kind of there, like. Yeah,
I mean, it's another one of those things where labels are just fucking stupid, honestly. And if you do read through the journal entries and stuff when she's talking about what's that guy's name that I guess it said that she hooked up with a couple times, Elliot or whatever, like she has no kind of real connection to him. So I feel like in the entries about the people that she writes down and then in the letters that she writes to Max, it's kind of hinting that she doesn't really actually feel anything for guys. She just kind of is hanging out with them or doing whatever with them out of boredom. And she's kind of like discovering like, hey, things are a little bit different, because it's also strange to me how she decided to point out that Steph was into girls.
Yeah.
So.
And I agree, like there's no need to point it out. I was just I wasn't sure how open with it Chloe was to herself at this point in time.
She's still figuring it out, obviously.
Yeah, she's 16. It's I'm sure that's pretty common. I'm not gonna pretend to know that either. But it's so. Also, I forgot about Ellie. There was this. You can have a conversation with him very early on, and when you get to Blackwell, and he asked if you want to go see the Tempest show together, and I said, yeah, it's probably gonna be stupid, but whatever. And Ellie was like, yeah, that's totally what I meant too. Just like hanging out and making fun of it and shit. Yeah, just like bro stuff, nothing sexual. And then he's
it was very obvious disappointment, but also don't care. Sorry.
Yeah, don't care, Elliot, who I just met just now. And, who obviously is not that important because you're not in the next game. But
again, probably a senior that graduated and was never mentioned again.
Yeah. So anyway, you give Rachel her belt, and then she comes back around, and she's wearing her rebel rocker girl outfit. Her with her one feather earring. She's like, hey, all right, let's go ditch. Is basically what she says. And Chloe's like, fuck yeah, or mine. That's what I said at least. I was like, let's go ditch. And Chloe is still very confused at this whole situation because they have never, what I understand, have never talked to each other before. And Rachel is like the most popular girl in school, and Chloe is as she refers to herself, the delinquent, the school delinquent. So, it's that classic weird story. But yeah, so she's like, all right, let's go ditch school together, girl I just hung out with for the first time last night. I
think really, as unrealistic as it may seem, I think it really is just a case of like Rachel planned on leaving school anyway and was like, well, who's gonna leave with me?
I mean, yeah,
probably like you said, the school delinquent and outcast.
Yeah, and I do believe Chloe would actually go through with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She says several times. They reference it several times in this whole episode. I don't need a reason to cut class.
Yeah, like she was probably gonna leave anyway. But so since they're both leaving, why don't they both leave together? And it cuts to them riding a train together. They hopped on a train, which is odd, but whatever. They just hopped on this train. They're doing the hobo thing, and it's your first real get to know Rachel Amber moment in the series, and they've decided to play a game of Two Truths and a Lie, which I've played before. I don't know if you have before, Brittany.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's just a simple game. You tell three things, and one of them is a lie. You got to figure out what the lie is. So just test how well you know the person. And I got Rachel's lie right. I called it out right. I don't remember what it was now, but
she said that she was from New York.
Oh yeah, and I was like, "You're not from New York." I literally thought this girl's from like California. Lo and behold, she's from California. And,
also, which by the way, I really love how that leads to finding out the origin of why Chloe says hella as much as she does.
Yeah,
she totally picked it up from Rachel.
I have that in caps. I'm like, it's like the it's the origins of hella. Which is because I literally, as the game was going on, I'm like, she hasn't said hello once yet. It's kind of weird. Even I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad she hasn't, because she says it. Because she says she uses it. I think it adds context to why she uses it so inappropriately when she's using it. Cause she just uses it for everything.
It's like that thing where you just learn a new word and then you try to just constantly interject it into every conversation you have. Yeah,
and it also makes sense that she would have picked it up from Rachel Amber. Based on what their future together holds. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was actually a fun nod, I think. And I know she's like, hello, what's that mean? So yeah, then it's Chloe's turn, and I chose to play the games by the rules and do two truths and a lie. Did you? Because you have the option to just tell us three lies if you want to. Or three truths or whatever.
Yeah, I just did three truths.
Okay, I did the lie, and I think I said that's a lie. Yeah, I did the I love science, which was true, and I did the lie that said she punched a girl out. I did that one, and she said yeah, I knocked her out. Bitch took my yoo-hoo. So so you knocked a girl out for stealing her yoo-hoo in the fifth grade. So that was the lie I told, and Rachel picked it out because she said the scar, because Chloe shows her a scar in her hand, and said that's what she got from punching her. And she's like, no, you get that from falling, like, and off a skateboard. Because apparently Rachel's like a fucking doctor, because she watches Doctor Who or whatever she said. Or she gave
I don't think she said anything about Doctor Who. She said that I thought she said that she also broke the same bone.
No, she didn't say that for me. Like, she made a reference to where she watched a lot of Doctor Who on mine.
That makes no sense, Doctor.
It was a joke. It was a joke, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I was gonna say, do the people who made this game not realize that Doctor Who has nothing to do with doctors?
I'm almost positive it was a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they're just getting to know each other, and it felt like a really natural conversation of two people that had never really hung out together, and now all of a sudden they're fucking ditching school together, and they have this that awkward moment where you realize you don't really know this person, and then just sitting there talking to each other, and Chloe pulls out her iPod, I guess, and it's like it's like 09, so yeah, it's definitely an iPod. Or 2011. Never mind. I was thinking of the max text. Like it's like
2010, because I'm looking at my end of the world poster right now, and it happens in 2013. So okay. Yeah, this game occurs in 2010.
Okay. So yeah, she pulled it out, and you have the option to either listen to it by yourself or share it with Rachel. For a second, I was like, the by yourself one would be really funny, but. But I listened to it with her, and it plays another indie song from someone I don't know, but it was a good song. It was fit this this quiet train ride in the middle of the wood, in the middle of the forest. These two girls just and there's a lot of hints at some, at least from my perspective, some budding romance in there, just some sexual tension, if you will. But I don't know if that came across the same way for you, and it might have just been. It might just be because.
I mean, okay. I'm saying it definitely did. I mean, They were planting those seeds very early.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes across that way because that they eventually reached that point. I don't know if that factors into that or not.
Well, actually, I don't know, because the way that I always saw it in the original game was that Chloe had a lot of unreciprocated feelings for Rachel, and this is kind of the point where I was saying that it wasn't that way, that maybe they both kind of had feelings for each other. So it put it in a different way to me.
I compared it to the Laura Palmer character in Twin Peaks, and and there's a lot of similarities between Laura Palmer having multiple relationships with a lot of people, and the Frank Bauer stuff and her stuff. I think there was reciprocated stuff there. I just think that Rachel's a very broken person. So, and that'll come up later too, as we get closer to the end of this. But yeah, I think it was reciprocated eventually, and I think there's even some of that later in this episode, if you choose so. But all right, yeah, and you as soon as you can choose to stop the music whenever you want. I don't know if the song just plays all the way through and then they just stop it themselves or not. I stopped it.
No, it will keep playing on a loop if you don't stop.
Okay. I stopped after about a minute or so, I think I was, but probably less, but yeah, you're like, all right, this is our stop, or whatever Rachel actually says, but she's like, all right, jump, and Chloe's like, what? And yeah, jump off is where we're going. Chloe's like, all right, I said, all right, fuck it, and jumped off, and
which, by the way, not jumping out of the train is an option, so what happens from there? Do you just keep riding away without Rachel, and then
I assume maybe she pushes her or something, or she just eventually you just have to jump?
I would love to see that. I just want to see Rachel just push her off the train. I'm going to have to go back and check that out.
I personally assume it just has a dialogue that basically just eventually leads to Chloe jumping off, or just makes her jump off regardless.
It's one of those choices that's not really a choice.
Yeah. It's so, and you go to this it looks like a national park of some sort in the area, and you go to an overlook with those fun, obnoxious looking binoculars.
Viewfinders.
Yeah, viewfinders, which are unnecessarily large. But and Rachel has her quarter and she puts it in, and then she finds out it's like broken, and she just wasted her quarter. So that puts you on a journey to get the quarter and use the other one, so you can do whatever Rachel had a plan to do.
The fetch quests in these games are just so bizarre.
Yeah,
and
they are
unnecessary. It's really just an opportunity to force you to like walk around and see like, hey, we designed this level, look at it for a second.
Yeah, and you can look at the statue of this explorer dude, and Chloe mentions how sexist it is, and you can tag that too if you feel so inclined. I did as a trophy for it, so of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you can walk around. There are some squirrels by a trash can. You can scare them, and then birds show up. Then you can scare the birds, and the squirrels come back. So eventually I gave up because I was like, maybe eventually this loop stops, but I'm just done with it. I'm going to keep going. It was... So, and if you walk all the way down, you don't... I don't think you need to. You just have to talk to Rachel and get a nail file from her to pick off the name placard on this bench, this like memorial bench, and that's all. But I kept walking down, and there's this couple eating lunch at this table, and the girlfriend or the wife is insulting this guy because he locked the keys in the car, and he's just like, "Do we have to keep talking about this the entire time?" And Chloe, if you walk up and talk to them, Chloe mentions something about the food, or mentions something, and she's like, "Oh, do you have she's like, do you guys have a quarter or anything?" And he's like, "No, we have some food if you want some food." And then Chloe's like, first she's insulted because they assume she's homeless. But,
I missed this whole part, so I didn't even know about it.
At first she's like, and then she's like, "Wait, did you say food? Did you say?" And yeah, she tried to. And then they start talking about her while she's still there, like mentioning how her being homeless and stuff.
Wait a minute. First of all, what homeless person asks for a quarter?
Yeah, I don't. It was. She might have asked for just any change in general. I think it was just a quarter that she asked for. That's what she needed. But yeah, it was actually a pretty funny exchange, I thought. But yeah, I went back, and you get the quarter out. Rachel's all happy, and then you play you go and spy on people together, but using one of the lenses of the binoculars, the viewfinder. And this is also one of my first notes I have where I actually caught her talking to herself out loud. So I at that point in time I hadn't noticed anything, I don't think. But yeah, this is the first time where I was like, wait a second. She's just her mouth is...
Please tell me it's not the part where she says something about Rachel Amber smelling like jasmine.
Yes, it is.
There's no fucking way. She did not say that out loud though, because that would be so weird. Like, why are you talking about me like I'm not here?
I did actually like that little line of dialogue, her worrying about spelling bad next to Rachel.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny, but the whole thing that your game for some reason is showing it or she's saying it out loud just makes it so strange.
It might not have been that right there, but it's very, very close to that part where I finally noticed her talking out loud. It might have been near that couple too. I don't quite remember, but yeah, I definitely caught her talking to herself out loud. So yeah, and then you spy on people and make fun of them while you're doing it. Like you insult. There's this dude doing yoga or something in there, and I said something about bees or something about him. I don't remember exactly what. And then there's like a dad grilling, and I made a comment about how he's going to sacrifice his son for God or something.
I thought it was just a really fun scene. I mean, it's something that I feel like everybody at least once in their life has played while just people watching. You just, make up the conversation that they're having. So yeah, like I've done that before. So it was a good scene. I thought some of the dialogue wasn't super funny, but I mean, kids make dumb jokes all the time. So yeah,
It felt pretty realistic to me. And eventually you come across this woman actually you can see her when you first start this, but you can't. I noticed her. And I tried to say something about her, but it wouldn't let me. I thought that was weird. And then it makes sense later, I guess, that they wouldn't, because you come back and she's just this woman in a white dress by a tree, and then this guy in like the suit comes up to her, and the way their character models had the exchange with each other seemed like he was forcing himself on her a little bit, or she wasn't super into it, because I started making out, but there's it just felt awkward the entire time.
I feel like that wasn't intentional though.
Yeah, I don't either. I just thought it was kind of some weird animation stuff going on there. But Chloe's still doing her joking stuff, but Rachel has a bit of a moment and then walks away, and when you try to ask her what's up, she's like, she mentions like how have they been out this long and are still sober. So yeah, and so you go over where that couple's at, and the couple has some wine with them, and Rachel's like, all right, let's go steal that wine. So, and Rachel's big plan is to fake passing out or whatever, and while she's distracting them, Chloe's gonna walk up and steal the wine, but they notice her there before she gets the wine. They don't know if they're trying to steal it, but they notice her there, and there's a whole scene where they're trying to there's a back talk section here with the guy who's trying to convince him to perform CPR on Rachel, and there was a fun line where Chloe's like, yeah, I think she needs mouth to mouth, and Rachel's like, just like, no.
Damn, I didn't see that one either, because I feel like with those backtalk sections, you have to select so quickly, and a lot of the time, this is just kind of, I guess, a design issue. Sometimes with the background, you can't read the text, and so you don't have enough. Yeah, I've had a lot of trouble with this game in particular. Like, it wasn't really an issue with Life is Strange, but this one definitely, where you can't really see the options, and since this is like very quickly timed, you can't read all the options before you select them. So I picked something real stupid about having to sterilize the wound, which obviously didn't go over very well because there's no wound.
Yeah, I chose.
So I failed the backtalk section, I think, because of that.
I chose mouth to mouth. And Rachel's like, no. And then Chloe goes, yeah, definitely needs mouth to mouth. And you grab the wine while he's leaning in to give her mouth to mouth. And then she pushes him away. She's like, oh, God, I'm suddenly better. And then you run away with the stolen wine. And did you still get the wine or not?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. You just get it regardless, even if you fail the backtalk?
I think it's just like grab and run.
Okay. That's kind of unfortunate, and I'll talk about more of the choice stuff at the end once we how I feel about the choices. But yeah, so you get the wine, you start drinking, and Rachel noticeably drinks a lot more than you right off the bat. She's obviously something is wrong with her, but you keep going, and you walk along the train tracks after that. And you come up to what is essentially the last section of the game, and in the junkyard, which is the junkyard is played a pretty big part in the first game too, at least in some early sections. And this is their first time coming across it, and Rachel is still not into the whole situation. I chose to kind of like force the issue, I think, is what I went with Chloe. I don't know what you. Too. Yeah.
Well, because Chloe isn't the type of person who's just gonna sit by and like let someone be not rude, but just kind of like flippant toward her. Like, she's not patient enough for that. So I was like, yeah, I mean, definitely figure out what the hell is wrong.
Yeah, but the way the dialogue goes in the writing is it has Chloe come across as very self-centered because she keeps trying to assume it's about her that Rachel's upset. And which is also understandable because like they've never hung out before, and Chloe's trying to make a good impression because she's the cute popular girl. But But yeah, Chloe makes it about her, which she does a lot in the series. She's herself, she is some self-centeredness for sure. And Rachel calls out for that too. So, and they have a big fight. And Rachel's like, and you find a bat in the junkyard, and you try to give her a bat to hey, you'll break some shit, you'll feel better. And Rachel, she eventually just gets tired of Chloe trying to force it and just wants to be left alone. And she decides to leave. And before she leaves, you have a probably the biggest choice, I guess, in the first episode of choosing how to respond to Rachel, or you gotta say because
Chloe's basically saying that, don't leave because she doesn't want to ruin this like she ruins everything else. And then Rachel essentially just asks her, like, what is this?
Yeah, and you have a choice between saying it's a friendship or it's more than friends. And I've seen some, because I went with more than friends. I assume you did too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen some reviews of this episode and some opinions about how fleeting and how fast this whole teenage romance is moving.
Yeah, but that's being a teenager.
Yeah, and that's what I agree with. I guess this does not come across like it comes across obviously like you guys literally just met, but it does not come across as something that wouldn't happen to me. Like especially with two characters like Rachel and Chloe who are obviously damaged, and as damaged people tend to do, like they're just looking for something, and they find each other like that. It makes sense in my mind, at least, and I've seen it happen, that it would speed up the whole process, of emotions. So yeah, and she says that, and Rachel responds with that she can't, even though she wants to. So which I thought was interesting that she even acknowledged that she wants to. I thought they would just go with like her not quite reciprocating yet. But,
yeah, like I was just expecting like, yeah, maybe the I can't thing, like sorry, but no. But not the like I can't even though I want to. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they leaned into both characters feeling something. But yeah, so Rachel leaves. And Chloe grabs the bat, and with all the objects in the junkyard, the options are whatever button you press, it just smash. So which I thought was a nice touch, and you just run around just busting everything, and Chloe's just taking everything out. Like her anger towards Max is she taking out because she's not there, and like she sees a mannequin and she hits it because she compares Rachel to the mannequin. She knocks this box over and an old camera falls out and she busts that and yells about Max and stuff. So she's just having a huge breakdown in the middle of the junkyard because everyone she cares about is gone basically, other than her mom. So, and she comes across something I did not expect. I guess I should have, honestly, but she comes across her dad's car in the junkyard, which I thought was a hell of a choice. That would be a rough thing to see because it's just her dad's junked car, total car from when he died. And she walks up to it, and she just starts hitting it and crying and freaking out, and she lays on the ground and passes out. And you wake, and then you arrive at another dream sequence with her dad, and it becomes even more surreal because as you're driving, this is when you see Rachel too when you're driving, right?
Yeah.
You driving Rachel, you see Rachel from behind walking towards something and not looking at you, and then she progressively turns more around as you're driving. So yeah, it's just Chloe's mental state is not good. So yeah, just more. I assume these dream sequences will get more intense as these in the next over the next two episodes. Is there anything I'm forgetting about that dream sequence that was worth mentioning?
I mean, I guess maybe the fact that her father's kind of reiterating that whatever is going on with Rachel is kind of special.
Yeah.
And then saying something about how maybe she needs Chloe. Which again is kind of like what you were trying to say is, even though it may seem unrealistic because of how quickly things are moving, they're two very broken people who have kind of found help in each other. So, I mean, with things like that, the connection is kind of instant. So I think her father is just kind of like reiterating that to her.
Yeah, and Chloe wakes up in the junkyard after that, and she walks back to the park.
Wait, did she wake up inside of her dad's car in yours or no?
I think she was outside of it in mine.
Yeah, in mine for some reason she was asleep in the back seat of the truck, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, mine she was on the ground, if I remember right.
I don't even know how you end up with that difference, or maybe we're just not remembering correctly.
Yeah, maybe she was in the car. I thought she woke up on the ground, but anyway, she goes back to the park, and she goes to the spot where they saw that couple making out, and Rachel's there, and they have a conversation where Rachel comes clean about the whole situation, which I knew exactly what she was going to say. It was pretty obvious, I think, what at least for me was what she was what she was upset about.
Yeah. It's not like I thought
yeah.
It was like her boyfriend or something. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, obviously that's her dad.
Or
her mom.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's either her dad or her mom. Yeah, I was like, and it turns out it was her dad. And she talks about how she thought she knew something was wrong, and she planned this whole like trip here because she wanted to spy on him and figure out what he was doing. And she talks about, and she brings up that picture that you found in the backpack, and it was that time. It was because when she went hiking with her dad that day, she broke her arm or leg.
Or maybe it's the wrist thing. I'm not sure.
She broke a bone, and she was in a lot of pain, and her dad carried her the whole way. And she talked about, she remembers every detail of that experience and just how much her dad means to her, and how much she hates him now. And Chloe tried to console her, and there's a lot of unpacking in the scene between them, and them kind of both realizing how much they need each other or think they need each other, and them talking about just running away, which is if you played the first game, it makes a lot of sense so that they would talk about that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember this scene, or I think it was earlier on where Rachel basically just said, "I'm just not around one day. Don't be surprised." So, which it's a hell of a foreshadowing. But,
oh God, yeah. I think that was actually on the train that she said that.
Yeah. So, and yeah, they have this moment together, and she takes the picture and she asks Chloe for a lighter. She walks over to the trash can, burns the picture of her dad, and throws it in the trash can. And then I was like, okay. And then she kicks the trash can over, and I was like, what the fuck? And it catches the tree on fire in front of them, and like that thing goes up in flames. And and then she starts screaming, and like her scream causes the wind to blow, and like create more fire. Like it's like a banshee scream. And I was like, okay, so Rachel Amber has supernatural powers too, apparently.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Which is really interesting because the first thing I was thinking is how I always kind of thought there was something supernatural about her in the original game. Like I felt like the with all the animals and the spirit animals or whatever you want to call them from the first game, like I feel like the doe maybe in particular was Rachel from the other side, or however you want to put it, trying to Yeah,
I feel
trying
like
to talk
they,
to Max.
I feel like they even hinted at that in the game itself, that her being that. I feel like they even might have directly said something along those lines, if I remember right. But yeah, it was unexpected. I'll be honest. I would not. It was. But yeah, Rachel is screaming at this tree and causing more fire, and then in basically sort in homage, I get in a way, and a call back to the end of the first episode of Life is Strange. They do basically just a check-in of every character that's assumed to be major in this prequel, of what they're doing, and they can all see the fire from different point from where they're standing, and it's like this fire is like huge at this point, like it's a serious forest fire, and yeah, so it plays a song over it, and then is that when it cuts away? Is that the
I think it is, because they kind of went with the style of like episode 1 and 2 of the original game, where it's just kind of like a montage of people around Arcadia Bay all seeing the same thing at the same time. Yeah. Like, on the first episode, it was snowing in September or October, which was too early. And then you had the eclipse. And then, well, I don't think they had a montage for the dual moons, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's definitely playing into the more supernatural elements of this whole series, which I think is important. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about Rachel having powers, but then I was like, I mean, that's kind of like a big thing with this series, is the supernatural elements. So yeah, it makes sense that it would be her, and it also helps explain why Chloe was so accepting of Max having time powers.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Like, it was so believable to her.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where the episode ends right there. And there is a short teaser after the credits, but it doesn't show much. It was very, very short. Yeah, that's the first episode of Life is Strange Before the Storm. And I'm gonna be honest, I was very pleasantly surprised by this. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. And I think that the writing has gotten much better. One thing I will say, like I mentioned earlier with the choices, I felt like the choices felt extremely minor in a lot of ways. I don't even like the choice between what to say to Rachel seemed, I mean, as the biggest choice in the episode, seemed pretty light on like impact for what would happen. I don't know. Also, I forgot to mention with the money. If you save the money from the weed if you don't buy the weed from Frank Bauer, I believe you can, or Bowers, you can put the money in Joyce's purse in the morning. So there's a lot of light choices in this one, but I feel like I don't know what would carry over to the next episode or the last episode from here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, a lot of the choices seem kind of linear, like the whole jumping off the train thing. I'm just assuming it's one of those choices where no matter what you pick, like, the scene's going to progress either way, and it doesn't actually have any kind of real effect on the future.
Yeah, so I was disappointed in that aspect, but I thought the story was strong enough as a whole to where it didn't bother me that much. It was I'm just more interested in seeing how this relationship progresses and how they eventually get to the first game in a way. I don't think it'll end I don't think it'll quite end when the first game's starting, but it'll set up for sure.
No, I mean, I'm very curious, especially because people who bought the deluxe edition are going to get that bonus farewell episode to Max. So I don't know if it's going to be some kind of bridge between this and the original game, but I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, it's this is a very promising start, I thought. So
one of the things that I want to mention, and I don't know if it's anything that you noticed, is the animation in the game was always kind of like I felt like they had good motion capturing for like actual body movement and everything, but the actual facial animations and stuff, and of course the lip syncing for audio and everything were kind of bad. That was one of the things that people complained about the most with the first game. But they added like actual facial animations in this in a lot of the scenes now, which is something that kind of stood out to me, that they were trying to, I don't know, just up their animation game in this.
Yeah, I thought the engine was very improved overall. I thought the environments looked better this time around. The first time when you walk out into Chloe's neighborhood, I thought that whole like neighborhood looked very good. I thought the art direction was pretty good.
Right.
Overall I felt like it was a noticeable improvement, which is something I can't say about like Telltale games. I feel like their whole problem is they haven't improved their engine in years.
They just look terrible. They're
But,
horrible looking games.
I still feel like this game is like the character movement is very stilted. It's very even like it felt kind of hard to move sometimes in the front lawn of Blackwell. I thought if at first I thought I was like being filtered down the sidewalks a little bit, but it just like kept hitting weird like, invisible walls. And sometimes I don't know, it just felt the movement still feels kind of weird. But you don't really do that much of it in this game, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like this is, again, it's a lot more, and I don't mind this at all. This one feels a little bit less like a game and more like an interactive movie, which all of these like choice-based games are, like 75% of the time at least. But yeah, this one's a lot more like, hey, just walk from this room to this room, and then the game kind of takes over from there, and then your interaction with it is very limited, aside from dialogue choices, which, again, I don't have a problem with. I still love it. The game's story is what carries it anyway, not the gameplay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why it's important the writing seems better this time around. And I do like the writing in the first one. I thought it was overall strong. It just had some force. It just felt forced in places.
It felt rushed towards the end, which is something that I'm never going to be happy with, but it happens.
Yeah. Night in the Woods is still my gold standard for like games like this in terms of writing and characters. But I think this is why another reason I was worried I wouldn't like this as much. But Deck 9 seems more than capable of delivering a solid story. They have 2 more episodes to do it, which is I'm actually, now that I think is good that they're only doing 3 episodes. They can make a very focused story that way, and also the wait it won't take a year to finish the fucking story. But
yeah, I mean there's that, but also at the same time, like, I know they say less is more, but in certain cases I'm just like, no, more is more. 3 episodes is nothing.
I am a less is more guy through and through.
Yeah.
So I've
just
always,
in my mind, the reason why I'm so into this is because I like the new characters that they've introduced. I like, I think her name is Samantha, the one that she kind of compares to, like, the bookish one that compares to Max. She was interesting. I like Steph and I like Mikey. So it's disappointing that we're going to have, like, so little time with these new characters that they've added in that I like so much. But, you know, this is what happens. It's a prequel. It's not a sequel.
Yeah. And the sequel's not gonna have those characters anyway. So
well, actually, we don't know that for sure.
That's
like
true.
it
You're
says
right.
they're not. They just said it's Max's story. I'm pretty sure they emphasized that Max's story is over, or maybe Max and Chloe's. They didn't say that there were going to be no returning characters whatsoever.
Yeah, I would say it's probably pretty fair bet that some characters are going to show up in their subsequent series. So
I feel like they need to, just to keep people's connection to the game, or at least in my opinion. Because once you do a game where no characters come back to a beloved series, it kind of ruins things a little bit. At least to me. Not naming any names.
That is not always the case. It's just creating new characters is very hard.
It is.
Writing
people get attached.
Writing is not an easy thing to do, and creating, and when you have to create new characters for something that's already well liked, it's even harder. So, but that's why I like it more that way. I like that they have to create something new. They have to think outside the box. They have to improve upon what was there before. So, I think there will be returning characters. I think there will be minor returning characters. I think they will be minor in Life is Strange 2, but they will be there in some form or fashion. But I do hope that it's its own thing mostly. And Before the Storm, I think it is doing a good job of still being its own thing thematically, while also building on those characters before. So I think you're gonna get the best of both worlds, as I hope you do with this and then 2. So, but yeah, I am impressed so far. They don't have a date for the next episode yet, do they? Or at least a month?
They kind of said 2 months in between each episode initially, which I remember was one of those big things that people were very, very angry about when they first announced it. Yeah. Along with obviously the voice acting changes, which nobody knew, and we just found out today. Nobody returned. I mean, I guess I'm guessing probably November at this point, which is terrible because that means we have a whole month at least to get through before the second episode comes out still.
Yeah. That's my problem with episodic games in general, really, is the lack of consistent release schedules. But that's neither here nor there at this point. This is the first time I will be doing the series from beginning and doing the wait in between every episode. So
yeah, so you get to suffer with me this time.
I don't think.
Although I know you're not nearly as passionate about it as I am. So not suffer, but you have to endure it, I guess, is a better word.
I enjoy it. I don't think I'll be suffering waiting for it. I'll be looking forward to it. But yeah, do you have anything else to add, Brittany, about this? Or
I mean, aside from just being very, very, very pleasantly surprised with how this is going, no, I'm just excited for the next episode. Yeah,
well, that's going to be a game club, at least for this episode. We will talk to you guys eventually again with the second episode, and yeah, Brittany will be on all of them, I promise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I will be too, because I like talking about this series. But until then, bye.
See ya.